This is City of Clear Lake Shore City Council regular meeting, August 18th, 2020. Call the meeting to order at 6:31. All council members are present except for Jan Bailey. With that, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Texas flag. Bear with me. Switching back to different programs here. Been running Teams all day and now I got to run this. Share screen. All right, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
So you should see the agenda. Is that what you see? Yes.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. I was watching Nassau Bay do theirs, and they actually have their secretary read everything out for them. So, Christy, it's coming towards you. All right. Item number 3, reports from council. Councilman Mark Thompson.
I have nothing to report at this time.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Mark Thompson. Councilwoman Christy Lyons.
I have nothing to report.
All right. Thank you, Christy. Next is Councilwoman Angie Terrell.
I have nothing current. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman. And thank you, Councilwoman Angie Terrell. Councilwoman Jan Bailey is still not on yet. And Councilwoman Amanda Fenwick.
No, I have questions, but it's budget related, so I'll wait till we get to that portion of our agenda. I don't have anything else.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Amanda Fenwick. And for mayor comments, just saw something from a safety advice. You know, folks, it's kind of hard with everybody working from home and the COVID. We continue to go through that, and we're going, I think, to our 9th declaration today, emergency declaration for the city. So we'll hold the record for that probably for a long time. But the stress levels, if everybody's up, and I know a lot of folks on here, as far as council members, have been able to take vacation and stuff, but how important it is that, you know, this is more than just to the council. This is whoever's watching this to take the proper vacations and stuff and put their stuff down and get away from it, because that's when you do a lot of your better thinking and stuff. A lot of the times when you're relaxed and stuff, that's when you think about how to resolve a problem at work, is when you're cutting the grass and stuff like that. So it's so important to just disconnect and be on your own and not be stressed out with all the work stuff. So that's just a friendly safety reminder for everybody for that. Next is staff reports, item 4, Police Department, Chief Keel.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We have an active scene currently on Tyndall. Life Flight is either, I haven't gotten an update recently, but
They left. They're already at the med center.
okay. Obviously, I didn't get updated because it was pretty active, so I'm waiting on some information to put out a press release. I don't have much to add. We do have the bridge construction, and we have some issues that we're trying to resolve, but I'll have an update on that the next council meeting.
All right.
I don't have much more than that at this time.
And Kurt, this is Angie. I have a question for Chief.
Yeah, go for it.
Chief, with Stewart Elementary resuming their brick and mortar operations on September 14th, do you have any guidelines for us as far as the legality of golf cart travel on 2094? Which directions we're supposed to go, if any, or any kind of guidance for us as citizens and parents on that?
Yeah, I've been researching this, and obviously it's going to be kind of a issue because there is no provisions for golf carts to be operated on 2094. Technically, you're not allowed to drive them on sidewalks. I know there's a couple of instances where you cross over at Clear Lake Road and you jump over to the Valero. There's issues with operating the golf carts to drop off children because you can't go down Birch, and we can't authorize you to operate on 2094, and technically you can't operate on the sidewalks. That being said, it's difficult to decide how to proceed. There's two options. You can drive your own vehicle and go in a car or truck. The golf carts, the issue there is the sidewalk is not authorized, and even if we make concessions for that, the sidewalk is only wide enough for one golf cart. That's a problem when you have people going two different directions back and forth to drop off and go home from for the children. So that being said, officer discretion is obviously going to kind of relax, but when people are going two different directions in the sidewalk, especially there at the bridge, that's going to create an issue. And I have to figure out what we're going to do if we can do anything at all. So that being said, I'm going to be probably the most unpopular person when I say this, but we don't really have a plan for you to operate golf carts to drop off children. That being said, we're going to figure something out, even if it is where you can only go one direction and then have to cross over and go back the other way through private property and business driveways. I know that's not really a good answer, but right now there's no provisions in the law that says just because our bridge is out, we can authorize you to drive it on 2094 or on the sidewalks. Is that confusing enough for you?
No, actually, that's pretty much what I was thinking it was, but I was hoping that it wasn't. So I understand no sidewalks, no 2094, no Birch, the dangerous situation, two different directions with golf carts operating on sidewalks. No plan for the golf carts currently, but we will try to figure something out. Did I understand?
Yes, that's pretty much it. So far, and to summarize that, we're going to relax our enforcement, obviously, of operating on the sidewalk, but understand, especially when you're crossing the bridge on Marina Bay Drive there at Jarbo Bio, that's wide enough for one golf cart. And if you got people going in two different directions, we're going to have an issue. So
Absolutely understand.
It may be that at certain hours of the day, you can only go one way, even though we can't legally authorize you to do that. But a plan might look like dropping off and then cross over there at I'm sorry, crossing back over at the light by the IHOP, and then going the other direction back towards Clear Lake Road. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. And I appreciate, I mean, the relaxed or the discretion. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the fact that you're even searching for a possible plan for us. I wasn't expecting any of that. I mean, the bridge is out. The bridge is out. It is what it is. But I do appreciate that you guys are doing all of that for us, and all of that makes sense. And I also appreciate you coming to talk to us on your vacation, Chief. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We did talk about this at our EDC meeting, and we approached Lazy Bend Homeowners Association, hoping that they would work with us and open up the gates at Lazy Lane, and they did not want to cooperate. We thought that that would be a simple kind of solution for a limited time. So the EDC is aware of this issue as well, and they were trying to think of ways to help. We are going to, from an EDC perspective, kind of clean up a little bit the sidewalk that leads down to Stewart, and we're going to paint part of it and kind of make it a path to encourage bikers and pedestrians. We didn't want to do that for golf carts for the exact reasons that Chief Keel spoke about, but we were looking at other options, and unfortunately our neighbors didn't want to cooperate.
Yeah, and I've been working with Ms. Sanchez on how to dismiss the walkers. So we're still trying to come up with a game plan of which side of the school we should dismiss them on safely, so that the walkers, golf carters can all be without of traffic. So
Great. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Christy. Thanks, Chief.
Yeah, also I would entertain sitting down with the school and maybe figuring out a plan for travel, which ways cars come in and leave. We may have to, just kind of come up with a not necessarily comprehensive plan, but something that allows us to. There's going to be increased vehicular traffic because some people won't be able to use their golf carts.
Right.
So there's a whole lot that goes into it.
Yeah, when we walked the property yesterday, she said that only 400 students had registered. So we were trying to figure out the best way to double stack them in that car rider line, and which side to dismiss bus and all that. So if you want to I can sit down with you, Chief, and I can give you all the details.
Absolutely.
Christy, how many students are there normally registered there?
There's roughly between 900 and 1,000 students.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any further questions for Chief Keel? And for Christy Strupp, please note that Councilwoman Jan Bailey joined us at 6:41. Hi, Jan.
Hi there. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
All right. Do you have any comments you'd like to make?
I don't. I just joined and I was listening. Thank you.
All right. Next is building official Kevin Harrell.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right, Mayor and Council, I'm building report. I issued 24 new permits between our last meeting and today. 23 of those permits are minor construction. I have a new home going up at 303 Oak. They've started on their pad site and their T-pole installation. I'm currently reviewing a new house at 727 Pine next to our, right behind our office. Let's see, 815 Grove is finishing up. They poured the driveway and the concrete flat work today. So they should be finishing that house up very soon. 819 Cedar, framing and the siding have been finished. The interior will be done soon. Still waiting on mechanical, plumbing, and electrical rough ends. 824 Dogwood. The contractor is finishing up the house. I had some issues with the grading, and today I spent most of the day there in and out. The contractor regraded the site to meet with the approved engineered plan that was submitted during permit review. I had them flood the yard, and it did seem to be working according to engineer's design. He has a couple of things he needs to tweak on the drainage, but it's looking fairly good. I also spoke to the neighbors in the area around it and gave them an update on that. Oakie's Yard House, they finished framing the cooler buildings on the west side. I inspected for windstorm compliance this morning. The mobile food shed, it passed inspection for electrical rough-in. The contractor's going to start closing up those cooler buildings and insulating the mobile food shed. Hopefully the gas line will be installed fairly soon from CenterPoint, but they have run their connection for CenterPoint. 903 Juniper, contractor passed inspection for the concrete slab, and the framers are working on the exterior. True North is installing a new sign. They're taking down their old junky one and replacing it with a nice new sign, so that'll brighten up the way going down 518. In the waterfront leases, I'm going to be meeting with Jan Bailey and Doug Roberts, and hopefully resolve the issue with our waterfront leases 59A, 59B, 59C, and 59. The waterfront leases on the north side of the island, E24A, B, C, and C1. If you recall, they're having some major bulkhead issues. They have hired contractors to fix the bulkheads, and one of those leases has been fixed. In code enforcement, I've got 3 cases going on right now. A couple of cases are high weeds and grass. One of the cases was mowed, so they've complied. The other one has not. I've got a junked vehicle at 702 Oak. We'll be scheduling a public hearing with council probably late September. It's been towed away. I've also got a case of planting trees in the right-of-way, and I am working with the homeowner to have those trees relocated. She has a very busy schedule because she's a teacher at Stewart Elementary, but she is working with me. A couple of cases installing fence without permit. I'm working to resolve those 2 as well. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
Hey, Kevin, on the situation of drainage on Dogwood, are the neighbors satisfied?
That was going to be my exact question, Kurt.
The neighbor to the east, haven't heard too many rumblings from him, but from them, excuse me. And they were watching as I was dictating what needed to be changed. They seem to be very satisfied. The neighbor to the west, Randy Chronister, I visited with him this afternoon, told him what was done, what the contractor is doing extra to ensure that the stormwater stays on the property. His only question to me was, well, what happens when or if down the road we have a heavy rainstorm and it floods him out? I said at that point in time, the contractor is responsible for the house for a year. He would have to fix any issues, including the drainage. The homeowners are going to install gutters and downspouts, and I will be talking with them about installing the downspouts and piping directly into underground pipes and putting the stormwater that hits a house directly into the culvert.
Yep.
Will help greatly. Something on a note that I'm going to bring in front of council is I'm going to propose a stricter guideline on drainage. Our current ordinance dictates that we only require an engineered drainage plan unless the floodplain administrator sees it's not necessary. I would like to see in our ordinance that we be more strict and that we require them to put in gutters, downspouts, and underground piping, like I just described earlier, so that any stormwater that falls on the house goes directly into the culvert or ditch. So the only drainage that we would have to deal with would be what the rainstorm drops on the grass. I've had a few builders do it upon my recommendation, but again, they can tell me, I don't want to spend the money. You can take a flying leap.
Right.
But I want to propose that here in the near future to see if that would be open to council.
That would be great.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yep.
Thanks, Kevin. All right, next is Kima Volunteer Fire Department Chief Rob Steckler is not present. Then Galveston County Health District Amy Weber, she did send some new numbers. We'll get those out to council shortly, and they'll be in the next packet. But I think for Clear Lake Shores, we had 3 calls. Next is City Administrator Brent Spear.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know it's unprecedented times. We're now in week 22 of the coronavirus pandemic, and I have a summary that would be included with the meeting minutes. But basically, with the Galveston County, they've tested almost 130,000 tests. That's not necessarily people. There are people that get tested more than once. A little over 10,000 confirmed cases, 6,000 recovered with 75 fatalities. For Clear Lake Shores, we are standing at confirmed cases at 23, and we have 14 recoveries. So that number is also coming up statewide. It's a little over 4.5 million. Galveston County is continuing a downward trend, and where we were once up at the top of that list next to Harris County, we're now currently in 12th place. So it seems to be the measures are working, and doing the right thing to protect not only your health but others is working. I anticipate that the local disaster declaration will be extended tonight until September 15th at 12 a.m. One of the things we're watching right now with EMCs is weather in the tropics. Had opportunity to see that. Currently, we're watching 97L and 98L. They already know what the named storms will be, and they're expecting probably develop into tropical depressions. One of them, likely a tropical storm, will be 98L. They are both expected to reach the Gulf. Tracking right now, and it's a best guess scenario, puts it roughly Texas-Mexico border, so extreme South Texas. And the second one is expected, if it makes it to the Gulf, and this afternoon they were saying that they were anticipating it to make it there, probably will just make it into the eastern portion of the Gulf and then twist north. So it would affect Florida, Mississippi, Alabama. Of course, all subject to change. Every 2 hours, they're reviewing that data and checking satellites. And as better information becomes available, of course, we'll roll that out to the city through all of our official information channels. But please take the opportunity to monitor weather forecasts and keep your eye out for official information. Can't tell people enough that they need to plan and work towards getting out when it's time to get out. Tomorrow we will have court. Clear Lake Shores, we're anticipating a smaller docket, but there will be additional traffic and parking on the island. Roads and Drainage developed a request for proposal for asphalt companies to look at our paving jobs that were originally quoted with Cobb Finley, just to see where we stood. Currently, Kevin's working with those contractors and handing out the proposal and talking to them on site, but anticipate getting some good quotes there, and we'll have some choices to make as far as road maintenance, trying to stretch dollars. I will be meeting with the vendor for pothole repair, also do some stop block painting for the stop signs around the island, try to avoid doing so on the roads that we're planning on working on, and also some crack sealing to try to get some longevity out of pavement, since we're trying to stretch again. Once we get that confirmed, I'll make sure he's got a permit. He is licensed and he does have insurance, and then we'll move forward. This will include the repair at Elm and Clear Lake Road, which was recently dug up to fix a stormwater conveyance. On pools and parks, 5 of the 8 bike racks have been placed, and you've probably seen roll out either on Facebook or as you travel and see them around. I think they look really nice. We have some minor tweaking to do and try to get those a little bit below subgrade, but placement was the most important thing that we needed to do with that. So we got those placed. We anticipate probably having some signage as part of an EDC initiative at Shell Bottom and Deep Hole. They seem to garner a lot of fishing trash, and they fill up rather quickly. So we'll get some park signs that are hopefully a little less obtrusive and won't block views of the water, and put them in strategic locations where people that are utilizing those facilities have opportunity to read them and act upon it. And I believe EDC is going to look at possibly finding someone that could address removal of trash on the weekends. We don't have public works people coming in. We're not paying overtime to have someone come in, but they may be able to fund a person to do that activity and at least keep the trash flowing on the weekends. It seems to fill up. Drawer Avenue, spoke with Mr. Drawer regarding the road right-of-way. That was part of the project. He was to convey to the city the right-of-way for that project. When I spoke to him last week, he had decided he can't now dedicate that right-of-way at no cost due to a lost real estate sale that he was anticipating. He will entertain offers, but the city's not prepared to purchase that land, and it wasn't part of the original plan. So I have notified Galveston County, and they were they did not receive that well as well. They were disappointed. We talked about the sidewalks. They were cleaned this weekend, so they're prepped for any type of painting, and that should be coming forth from EDC. And we're keeping up with our sanitation efforts and staying on top of keeping City Hall clean, wearing masks, so on and so forth. Continue that process. It's become the new normal for us. And then I have had included a copy of the estimate at completion budget with the council packet. That budget is reflects about a almost $78,000 overrun, and of course that's not intentional, but we have a lot of stuff in there that we're anticipating doing, and the net result is it's a plus 2.8%. What I don't expect is for us to run every line item and fully expend every nickel. That hasn't happened this year, and I wouldn't anticipate it happening in the future. So in comparison, we had some costs this year that were unanticipated and been absorbed with the land acquisition. But I think I have the ability to maybe pull another 5,000 or 6,000 out of that. But I kind of reached the threshold and cutting services would be the next option. Are there any questions in regard to the budget? I think Amanda had one.
Yeah, I have two. Well, I don't know who's heading up the conversations with Galveston County Health District, but we need to really, I know Kurt, you said that there might be a true up coming, but when you do the math on the numbers, for as low of numbers as we have, I think our overall cost should be not what it is. It should be lower. So I don't know who's having those conversations, but I just want to make sure that we don't lose track of that, because when you do the math, it's a lot. So
Don't necessarily disagree, but also remember you're paying for a level of service. So when you have less calls, it actually could cost us more money because we don't have the income revenue that was originally predicted. And so that means more has to come out of just like the court fees, right? With the revenue for Clear Lake Shores. If court fees are not producing revenue, then that means that more funds will have to come out of general revenue or tax revenue in our case to pay for the operation of the city. That same thing happens with the EMS.
I hear you, but I just want us to make an effort in that regards to bring those costs down, because it's, when you look at 60, I think we've had 64 runs this whole time, and
right.
Anyway,
and they used past experience from the previous KEMA runs and stuff, and so if these lands up being less, well, maybe there could be some reduction in force that they could roll out and still get the same level of effort, and then also have mutual aid from Seabrook or something in Lake City to provide enough coverage, and Bay Cliff reduced back to where Bay Cliff can make some calls. But our response time has increased, but we have to be careful that our costs could actually go up to the city just because of that. And also, if you look at the original cost, and I kept quiet about it because the portion that KEMA paid per run was a lot more than what Clear Lake Shores paid.
that was all I had with regards to the budget, Brent.
Thank you. Appreciate your input. And with that, everything else is either an agenda item. So.
All right. Next is committee reports, Parks and Pool. Oh, Angie, do you have anything?
Hey, Chris. This is Angie. Parks and Pool has not had any meetings, and I haven't gotten any updates from Chris.
Okay. Thanks. Roads and Drainage, Richard Sowery.
Richard did supply a written report of what was going on. I covered most of it, and that will be included with the meeting minutes.
All right.
He's trying to talk. There he is.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry. Thanks, Brent. Yeah, you brought up a number of things that are on my list and covered them well, of course. We did have an issue with Elm Road, which you probably know as you go down Clear Lake Road. And they're working on scheduling repair for that. And then I think we talked about the request for proposal, and Brent covered that well. And I just wanted to add that Alex Scanlon really helped out in the preparation of that request for proposal. And I wanted to commend him on his expertise and helping to do that. One minor item that we've been doing is trying to get as much information as we can from various different sources about how to do the overlays on our 3 roads that are scheduled for the 2020 project. And we've been trying to get hold of the city engineer over at League City. And I think his name is Christopher Sims. And both Alex and I have tried to call them, and they don't return their call. So I don't know, maybe we can do this offline, but try to figure out how to get them to, help us share with them what their experience has been to keep our costs down on repairing roads. So maybe Brent or Kurt could help out with that, but maybe that we can talk about that offline. Kevin, I noticed, did not realize that you were working on this drainage issue, potential doing an ordinance that might change the way the water is directed off the properties, and maybe it would be good if you could involve us in your drafts. Maybe we get some input from roads and drainage, because if we divert, and this is just off the top of my head, I haven't had a chance to really think about it, but if you divert the water off the roof and down to the grass, and or actually not allow the percolation that we normally would have, we may have an issue there, because we're trying to get as much water to drain into the groundwater as we can, rather than just dumping it into the ditch. So maybe we can talk to you about that.
Sure, that's fine.
And the other thing we were talking about, hurricane preparedness, we've noticed that the last big problem we had with ditches clogging up with debris, to the degree that we can, I think most of our ditches are well cleaned, but people that have trees overhanging ditches tend to have the debris from those trees drop into the ditches and then clog up the culverts, and that causes backup. So to the degree that any citizens can help out by removing some of the debris from their trees, that would be good. That's all I got. Any questions?
All right, thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Richard.
I don't think anybody's online for zoning board adjustments for planning and zoning. Waterfront compliance, Mark? All good, Mr. Thompson? Can't hear you.
Okay, sorry, I had issues trying to unmute. I have nothing for the waterfront compliance.
All right, thank you. And Civic Club, Teresa's here, but my mic doesn't work on my computer, and she says just other than the Barktoberfest has officially been canceled. So they'll look forward to next year, and that's just due to the COVID situation. And they're having an online auction. And then just pay attention to the Islander, that's there'll be all the events and mentioned in there.
Can I say something on the waterfront?
Yes.
We have a substantial amount of invoices that are still due. And their deadline on those was, I think, the 9th. So you might just want to get the word out that if people did not receive their invoice for some reason, or maybe they just set it down when they got it and forgot. But we have a lot that have not paid, which is, by this time, is not what the norm is on those. So,
right. So maybe it'd be a good reminder for Adri to put out on our social media, just to remind folks to check their waterfront leases, make sure that those have been paid.
yeah, because we're fixing to do the second notice, and then of course after that it goes to public hearing for revocation. So
on the second notice, is that just regular mail? Do we ever send them a certified mail?
no, we're not required on second notice. Only the revocation, if we're going to possibly revocate their lease, do we ever send it certified?
Okay. All right, just make sure those get on the agenda appropriately within the timelines that have been established per the waterfront lease and the ordinances.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Item number 7, EDC.
Hey, just very quickly, about 2.5 weeks ago, I guess, Johnny Boltinghouse and I had a conversation with the group that has Strawberry Fields under contract. to possibly relocate the Galveston Bay Beer Company from Dickinson to that building, both their beer distillery or brewery part of it, and then to create about a 5,000 square foot brew pub. And they're in the middle of their due diligence. They're certainly more than capable of getting it done financially, and I think have a good business plan and good consultants. It's just a matter of whether or not the building will ultimately serve their needs. We expressed a lot of enthusiasm and willingness to help in whatever way we could. And I've had a couple of conversations with Brent about accessing some waterfront that accompanies that, and they're trying to sort through that. They're also trying to determine whether or not acquisition of the pro paint and body building would be worth the premium that he wants for that building. So that's a conversation we'll continue, and hopefully it'll come to something. I think they'd be a great add to our mix.
Charles, I have a question. Are they currently operating in Dickinson?
They are, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I think limited hours, but yes,
Okay.
they are operating.
Because we drove by the other night and it was like a desert town, and I thought, is that just because the time, or is that business? Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And then the sidewalk initiative has been mentioned. I was also looking at that on Sunday myself. And in order to even get a golf cart physically down the sidewalk in front of the apartments, we need to figure out how to pull the gravel back a couple of feet. Otherwise, you'll be in the street at some point. There's just no way around it, and that's not a good option for anyone. Assuming that no matter what we say, there are going to be people in golf carts at some point, whether it's going to and from school or just to and from Target. So we're looking at options there. And then Brent also mentioned the signage that we're working on, and that's in the category of one thing leads to 10. That it started with just wanting to encourage people to do a better job of putting their trash in the containers at depot. And then when you look at it and you realize those bins are full to overflowing already by Saturday morning early. So it won't do much good to just put up a sign if there's no place to put the trash. And so that's why we're looking at some sort of kind of weekend parks attendant who could empty the trash there and at Shell Bottom and at Sundial, perhaps, where we have a lot of activity. And so we're working through that at the moment. Got some other things that are early stages, but those are kind of the hot topics. I will comment on the Drawer Avenue issue. That gives me personally a lot of consternation and makes me step back and just reassess the value of that street and whether or not, you know, it's worth more than the buy-in that we'd already committed to it, which was, I think I'd have to go back and look, but plus or minus $400,000. And that just gets to be awfully pricey for perhaps the incremental gain, but that's a to be determined. So.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's 1.1 to 1.2 million dollars, and it's 400,000 was EDC, but matching 800,000, half Clear Lake Shores, half Kema, and then Kema has already used their bond money for the other two roads that they built over across behind the Petco, or so it's really a loss there. Kema got their stuff taken care of, so one of the things we're looking at is possibly working with Galveston County. And if Mr. Drawer doesn't want to work with us with this property and getting the road through his land, maybe we could rededicate the money to replacing our bridge and having a pedestrian / golf cart crossings.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, you just start thinking about the utility of those dollars and whether or not they're better used elsewhere. Yeah.
Yep. So
excellent.
Anybody knows Daryl Atfield, start reaching out. All right. Anything else, Charles?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Anybody else, council, have any questions? All right. Thank you. Item number 8, public comments. At this time, any persons with city-related business may speak to the council in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. The city council may not deliberate. Comments from the public should be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per individual. I'll open the floor up for public comments at this time. All right, having none, we'll move on to item 9, new business. First, I'd like to address council. I'm trying speeding up some items here. So a consent agenda moving forward, unless council objects, and we can discuss this. But consent agenda is exactly that, consent. And what I'm going to ask first when we go to consent agenda is if there's any items that a council member would like to pull. When we pull those will go down in the normal regular business. And then I'll address consent agenda again with whatever items are left. And I'll ask for any objections. If there's no objections, then consent agenda passes. It does not require a motion or a second. Does anybody have any concerns or issues with that protocol?
Nope.
No.
All right. Moving on to consent agenda. Is there any items that council would like to pull? Having none, is there any objections to the consent agenda? Having none, consent agenda passes. Moving on to item 10, consent council business. Discussion of possible action may be taken on the following items. Item A, declaration of disaster revision number 9, extending date to September 15th, 2020 at 12 a.m. Again, this just keeps us in line with our funds to make it available to us and to follow the governor's orders. And in case we did have to declare any type of changes in our city, we can do so.
This is Angie. I'd like to make a motion to approve the declaration of disaster revision number 9, extending to September 15th, 2020.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Terrell with a motion, second by Councilwoman Fenwick. Any discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye.
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 All right, any
Aye.
opposed? All ayes, motion pass unanimously. All right, item B, ordinance 2020-16, an ordinance of the city of Clear Lake Shores, Texas, approving the fiscal year 21 ad valorem tax rate and levy of $0.00 per $100 of assessed evaluation of all taxable property within the corporate limits of the city and providing a repealer.
I'll move to approve ordinance 2020-16.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Councilwoman Fenwick, second by Councilwoman Terrell. Any discussion? All in favor with aye?
Aye.
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 I see Mark, Jan. Any
Yes,
opposed?
aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item C, resolution 2020-08, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Clear Lake Shores, Galveston County, Texas, reappointing a municipal judge of the municipal court of the City of Clear Lake Shores for a term of 2 years, providing a severability clause and a repealing clause, and providing for an effective date.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2020-08 to reappoint municipal judge of the municipal court of the City of Clear Lake Shores.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Councilwoman Terrell, second by Councilwoman Bailey. Any discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Having none, motion passes unanimously. Item D, resolution 2020-09, a resolution of the City of Clear Lake Shores, Texas, providing that a general municipal election be held on November 3rd, 2020 for the purpose of electing 3 council members, designating the polling place, providing the form of the ballot for such election, directing the giving of notice of such election, and providing details relating to the holding of such election.
I'll move to approve resolution 2020-09.
I wholeheartly second.
These are get out dates. So we have a motion by Councilwoman Fenwick and second by Councilwoman Terrell. Any discussion? Well, let's repeal this now.
I do have a question for Christy Strapp. Just to reiterate, early voting is 3 weeks, correct? And the time is extended. That's what you mentioned at our budget workshop. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's actually listed
in
that resolution, the dates and the time.
Yes, I see it now. I remembered I saw it. I just couldn't remember. It's that last week that it goes longer, 7 to 7. Okay.
And it also includes a Saturday too, right?
Saturday and a Sunday.
And the whole entire ballot will be on ours. So federal down
to the city. Yep.
That's great.
Wow.
Excellent.
No further discussion? All in favor with hand or aye?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Having none, motion passes unanimously. Item E, review and discussion of fiscal year 21 budget estimate at complete. And I think Brent had some discussion on that. Where'd Brent go? Brent left us.
No, I'm sorry, I'm still here. I think we covered that previously, unless there is any, I have the ability to maybe take $1,000 out of my training budget and maybe another 1,000 here. I haven't talked to TK, but we may be able to take a couple thousand out of the training budget for the police department because they're not participating in person at locations. Everything is done. Everything's been done remotely, or they're trying to go remotely. So you're saving on travel costs and hotels and meals primarily. And Mayor sharing that screen, as you can see that estimated completion variance is just shy of 78,000, 2.86%. And don't anticipate us depleting every line item. We're entering with a deficit. That's with an adjustment in what we anticipate with court fees. And of course, any uptick in those fees would go to the bottom line. But I don't anticipate using all that money. We have to account for it in all these different line items based on our estimates for our costs. And that's if everything lines out.
And Brent, we added these lines on the bottom, and I guess the print field needs to be expanded because it didn't come out in the PDF printout of it.
Oh, on the EAC variance?
Yeah, this bottom.
All right. Okay.
So if you next time, just if you get a chance, update the print field for this worksheet.
Absolutely.
And I believe all the action items from what I went back and reviewed were taken care of. Was there any issues? And then we also just naming convention. I think we went through and named everything. I don't have it on this one. Fiscal year 19, 20, 21, 20.
And yes, also there was a little format problem on some of those other pages prior to going to print, though. Those will be addressed and we'll get them so they're stacked. There's a couple, I think, where they're single line.
And so the next time we see this there'll be the complete packet with the assessment of the city from Cheryl of what the last year's funds did and the assessment of the taxes like we've had in the previous budget.
Just like I did last year, but I produced that after it was approved. and it was bound together. So
Okay.
I can produce this. If we have no changes, then this can be produced in its current format and bound.
Well, but we still have to have a public hearing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I would say wait until it's approved.
Yeah, the next meeting, we were gonna have a public hearing. And then on that same evening, it will be up for council to approve. Unless council feels we need another workshop.
And the other outstanding item I have is next on the agenda would be holiday schedule. I'd like to get that addressed, and we can move forward with that. That will be also part of the budget packet when it's assembled. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, that completes item E. Item F is discuss and approve 2021 holiday schedule.
Yes, typically, I guess based on prior years, the holiday schedule has been 100 hours. That helps coincide. It works well with the police department as well as city office staff, just the way that shifts break. And so that I was trying to get to the 100 hours mark. As you can see, that's how, as we work down that list, how things break out. And then there are some options at the bottom to get to 100. The preferred one was the December 23rd with the 2 floating holiday hours. So I didn't know if there was any council wanted to approve that at whatever level, then I would be able to make those changes and it would be assembled into the final budget document when appropriate.
Need a motion for item F.
I'll make a motion to discuss.
I'll second it.
All right, motion Amanda, second by Christy.
So Brent, for your preferred one for Wednesday, December 23rd with 2 floating holiday hours. So you're recommending or requesting that the 23rd be a holiday and then employees get to choose.
They would be able to apply 2 floating holiday hours wherever. It could be a birthday off with 2 holiday hours. It could just be 11 straight hours that are floating. It could be nothing. You could just stay with 89. It's really a choice of the council, but that was my recommendation to get to 100 was the Wednesday, December 23rd with 2 floating holiday hours.
And Brent, this is Angie. Is that, you have preferred in parentheses there, is that preferred by our city staff or is that something that you prefer, or who prefers that?
It was preferred by city staff.
Okay, thank you. That's what I needed.
They were polled and that was what they preferred.
Alrighty.
Is this different than what we've been doing, or is this the same?
It was easy to break 100 hours last year. The calendar broke, and this year it was different. Just calendar dates.
So is there a reason why we just don't stick with the standard state hours?
It was what I inherited, and that was that direction I was working. That's all.
It's changed with every mayor. Just FYI.
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 floating holiday hours last year. Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, Thursday and Friday, Christmas, the 23rd. Yeah, so what you're proposing is the same as what we had last year.
But I don't think we can tell people to take birthday off.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would just rather,
It's just there's floating holidays.
yeah,
Yeah.
2 hours.
Yeah, and to the 2-hour mark.
Right. Pretty sweet deal.
Yep.
So I'll amend my motion to approve the holiday schedule with Wednesday, December 23rd as a day off with 2 floating holiday hours.
I'll second the motion.
All right. Motion by Councilwoman Fenwick, second by Councilwoman Terrell for the holiday schedule for fiscal year 21, and also including fiscal year 22, and having Wednesday, December 23rd off with 2 floating holiday hours. So this will be updated with removing those other options.
Yes, sir, it will.
All right. Any discussion? All right. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right. Any opposed? All right. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, council.
Let's see. Next is item G, executive session pursuant to section 551.72. Authorizes a governmental body to deliberate in executive session on certain matters concerning real property. A governmental body may conduct a closed meeting to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if deliberation in an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the position of the governmental body in negotiations with a third party. We've arranged for another Zoom connection. This meeting will be terminated because I am the host. So that's unfortunate. If you wanted to join us back, just let us know and we can call you, Richard Sowery, Kevin, Chief Keel, or Charles Scoville, or Adri. Let us know with a text message to myself or Christy Strupp. Otherwise, we will be going into recession at 7:33.
All right. See you guys over there.